Welcome to today's deep dive. Imagine trying to excavate a basement in secret, right? But your landlord lives on the ground floor, and the floorboards are literally rigged to seismic monitors.
Yeah, it sounds completely impossible, and that is exactly what we're looking at today with Stalag III. It was a World War II prisoner of war camp that Hitler custom built to be, well, utterly escape-proof.
Right, they basically took all the top Allied escape artists, like the guys who had already broken out of other camps, and just dumped them into this one super prison.
Exactly. And the security was just terrifying. You had these 9-foot double barbed wire fences, shoot-on-sight warning wires in a literal no-man's land, and microphones actually buried in the ground.
So if you even scraped a shovel near the surface,
The guards would hear it.
and they even weaponized the dirt. Like, the camp was built on this loose yellow sand that collapsed super easily.
Right, to prevent tunneling.
Yeah, and they raised the prisoner huts on these 60-centimeter concrete pillars. So any dirt moving underneath was instantly visible to any guard walking by.
It really is wild. But,
Yeah.
that sheer impossibility is exactly why they had to abandon traditional escape methods.
Okay, so let's unpack this for a second. Breaking out of here sounds like trying to silently dig a subway system through a sandbox resting on a car alarm. I mean, how do 600 prisoners hide a massive construction site from guards living right on top of them?
Well, what's fascinating here is how they used physics to bypass those acoustic sensors. They realized they couldn't go through the net, so they had to go under it. The microphones only measured shallow surface vibrations.
Oh, so they just dug deeper.
Right, they dug straight down 30 feet to hit what they called dead earth, where the sound waves just couldn't travel up to the surface.
Wow. Okay, but digging 30 feet down creates an entirely new set of physics problems.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just scoop out loose sand at that depth without the roof caving in on you.
No, definitely not. This wasn't just some ragtag group of guys with spoons. This was orchestrated by the X Committee, which was this highly structured, covert engineering division operating right under the guards' noses.
And they oversaw the creation of 3 completely separate 30-foot deep tunnels, right? The ones codenamed Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah, Tom, Dick, and Harry. And to stop that loose sand from collapsing, they actually stole about 4,000 wooden boards from their own beds to shore up the tunnel walls.
That MacGyver-level resourcefulness is what blows my mind. Like, they just slowly spaced out their remaining slats so the mattresses hid the gaps during the guard inspections.
It's brilliant, and down at 30 feet, there's obviously no oxygen. So they took empty Red Cross powdered milk tins, strung them together like a massive pipe system, and literally built a manual bellows to pump fresh air down the shaft.
That is insane. But wait, they still had a massive visual problem, right? The sand itself. Because the dirt they were pulling out of the tunnels was bright yellow, but the surface dirt in the camp was this dull gray.
Right, if a guard saw even a handful of yellow sand, the whole operation was dead.
Enter the penguins. I love this detail.
Yeah, the penguins. These were prisoners tasked with discreetly smuggling the excavated yellow sand in little pouches hidden inside their trousers.
And they would just casually stroll around the camp, pull a hidden string in their pockets, and literally scatter the yellow sand into the gray surface dirt while shuffling their feet right under the guards' noses.
Immaculate deception. They were also forging impeccable travel documents, using shoe polish to mimic the ink for official stamps. All this daily, painstaking routine paved the way for March 24, 1944.
The ultimate test. It's dark, freezing. They finally break through the end of the tunnel, called Harry. But there's a massive miscalculation.
Yeah, a really tragic one. The tunnel falls 10 feet short. So instead of opening into the safety of the dense pine forest, the hole opens right in the middle of an exposed field.
So they're just out in the open.
Completely exposed, but they had no choice but to push forward. They had to rig up a rope signaling system, timing their movements perfectly with the passing guard patrols to sneak out one by one into the dark.
Wait, I'm stuck on the math here. They had 600 prisoners working on this project, but only 76 got out. If the tunnel was finally done, why didn't the rest go?
Well, that 10-foot shortfall slowed everything down. Sneaking across that exposed field took drastically more time per person than they planned. And then, right before dawn broke, a guard finally spotted the 77th man emerging from the ground.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and the tunnel was permanently shut down.
The immediate outcome sounds pretty devastating.
It was heavy. Out of the 76 who broke out, only 3 men actually reached safety in Sweden and Britain.
Just 3.
Yeah. And a furious Hitler illegally bypassed the Geneva Conventions and actually ordered the execution of 50 of the recaptured men.
Such a devastatingly high price.
It really is. However, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the breakout was a massive psychological blow to the Nazi regime. It triggered a wild manhunt that completely disrupted their operations.
Right. Didn't it force them to divert an estimated 100,000 German troops away from the front
Yeah.
lines just to search the countryside?
Exactly, 100,000 troops.
Which brings a really powerful perspective for you listening, especially if you're ever feeling entirely boxed in by the constraints of a project at work or just in life. Think about the physics of this camp.
Right. Total restriction doesn't actually kill innovation.
No, it acts as a filter. It strips away the easy, obvious answers and forces you to build entirely new paradigms. I mean, like turning bedboards into structural engineering.
Absolutely. And it leaves you with a lingering question to chew on. Considering that massive 100,000 troop diversion this breakout caused, did these prisoners fighting from inside a cage actually inflict a more devastating strategic blow to the Nazi war machine than they ever could have from the cockpit of an airplane?